On October 13, 2013, I accompanied my 14-year-old son to his drumline audition. About halfway through the audition, I got a call from my niece telling me that my dad was in the hospital with pneumonia. He had been battling heart and lung problems for over a decade, so I realized that this was serious. 3 days later, I was on a plane to the hospital in Omaha, Nebraska, where he was in the ICU. The rest of my family had been there for days and were all exhausted. I told him to go home and I would stay with him through the night. Now at this point he was on a ventilator tube, heart medication, triple antibiotics, and heavy sedation. I kept talking to him as if he were awake just in case he could hear me. I was making jokes and watching the Red Sox in the World Series with him on television. Now one thing you need to know about my dad, he is the quintessential Red Sox fan. I sat beside him and I held his hand for several hours during the night and slept in a chair beside him. During that overnight stay, he opened his eyes 2 times briefly. Once when I turned on the ball game, and once when I told him I was there. My mother and my 2 brothers arrived very early in the morning as we were going to meet with the doctors for their prognosis. As each of the doctors came in and gave their report, they made it apparent that he was not responding to the medication and that his lungs could no longer function on their own. My mother turned to each of my brothers and myself, and with a simple nod we knew what had to be done. My father had made it clear he did not want to be on life support. We scheduled last rites at bedside for later that morning, followed by him being removed from life support. I held his hand, and within moments he took his final breath. In a span of less than 24 hours, he had gone from looking at me to being gone from this world. I knew the grieving process was going to be rough. I was in a funk for days on end and found myself bursting into tears at random moments. What really got to me was the fact that up until the time he was unconscious, he was an extremely intelligent man that would crack a joke and make people smile. His mind was still there till the day he died, but his body just gave out. 3.5 weeks after his passing, I had just started to come out of my funk. On my drive to work, Stairway to Heaven came on the radio. Having been overplayed so much over the past 4 decades, I typically found it to be a nuisance. Today, it had extreme significance. I cranked it up so loud my speakers couldn't even take it. I absorbed every word, every guitar riff, and every bass note on every beat. I was so overrun with emotion that I shared one final tear. I finally had closure.